Thank you, Chairman. Mr. Chairman, by direction of the Committee on State Nominations, we make the following nominations. For the office of State Party Chair, we place into nomination the name of James Dickey. For the office of State Party Vice Chair, we place into nomination the name Alma Perez Jackson. Woo. Mr. Chairman, this concludes the report of the Committee on State Nominations.
Delegates, you've heard the recommendation of the State Nominations Committee for State Party Chairman. James Dickey's name has been placed in the nomination for State Party Chairman, and Alma Perez Jackson has been placed in the nomination for State Party Vice Chairman. I understand a minority report of the Nominations Committee has been filed. It is my assumption that everything was followed correctly. So without objection, at this time, I will hand the gavel to Amy Clark to chair the handling of that report.
Good afternoon, delegates. This is an atypical scenario, so bear with me as I attempt to explain how this will happen. A minority of the nominating committee has filed a report that they do not concur with the nomination committee's report for State Party Chair and Vice Chair. Under our RPT rules, a 20% minority of the committee has a right to present this minority report. And both the presenter of the committee report, Dr. Armstrong, and the presenter of the minority report are allowed to speak for 10 minutes each. I will therefore now recognize Dr. Armstrong to speak for 10 minutes on the committee report, and then I will recognize a member of the committee's minority to present their report and speak for 10 minutes. After which point, we will proceed to vote on if the committee report or the minority report should be adopted as the recommendation of this committee. Please pay attention to this next sentence. This will not be the vote for the State Party Chair or Vice Chair. This will be a procedural vote, only for whom the committee recommendation is, simply to accept that report. After the vote, we will proceed to ask for additional nominations, and at that point, hold the elections if necessary. We good? Mr. Thomas, all right. At this time, I will ask that a reporting member of the minority please find a place at one of the microphones. I will ask the sergeant at arms at that microphone to please turn on a blue light and to leave it on during the duration so that I may recognize that member of the minority for a motion at the appropriate time. At this time, I will recognize Dr. Armstrong to speak to his committee report. You have 10 minutes and the timer is on the screen. Will the timer be on the screen or is it?
Well, good afternoon. So I'm chair of the State Nominations Committee, and I'm here to speak on the committee's report that we produced. You know, we have a great process in the Republican Party of Texas. It's a very grassroots-oriented process. It's a process that is very respectful of you, the delegates, and that makes us one of the strongest state parties in the nation, and I think y'all would agree with that. So the process that we have had for a very long time is that you vote in your senatorial districts. When you vote in your senatorial districts, you report the majority of vote in your senatorial districts. You report that to state nominations, and then state nominations records how those districts voted. The vote that we obtained in state nominations was that 22 senatorial districts voted for James Dickey for chair, and 9 Senate districts voted for Cindy Crocker Ash for chair. That same number held up for the vice chairman as well. 22 districts voted for Alma Perez Jackson, and 9 voted for Fred Rangel. I think that we had good people run for these positions. I think nice people. I think that we can all work with either of these folks. But as the process has been laid out, clearly the majority report should be accepted because you've already voted. I would add to that I firmly believe that this is not about the chair's race anymore. Now we're talking about the process. I believe that there are folks who supported Cindy Ash who are amongst you out there who could give this same speech, and who would give the same speech because you would say that the Senate districts have already voted and there has been a clear majority. What typically wins in these races is the winner has to win 16 senatorial districts, and that threshold has clearly been reached. That has been I've run a lot of these party races, and you've seen me up here many times before in the years past, and I can tell you that is the way our party runs. That is our process. That is what has been respected throughout the many, many years that I've been involved with the party, and that is the process that we should respect today. Again, I believe we have a very strong argument that the majority report should be accepted as has been stated. Again, I believe that 22 senatorial districts is far and away the majority of senatorial districts needed to have victory in these races, and therefore I believe very strongly that the majority report should be accepted. Thank you very much, and God bless you.
I will now recognize a member of the committee minority to present the minority report and speak for 10 minutes. I see that I have a motion on this microphone.
Thank you, Madam Chairman. Richard Hayes, Senate District 30. The minority report of the 2018 State Nominations Committee reads as follows. We, the undersigned, recommend the following for the officers of the Republican Party of Texas for the 2018-2020 term. State Chairman, Cindy Ash. State Vice Chairman, Fred Rangel. Additionally, the undersigned, representing the following senatorial district delegations, request a roll call vote. The signers of the committee report are Richard Hayes, Senate District 30, Eric Opiella, Senate District 21, Terry Harmon, Senate District 31, Tim Roth, 29, Jennifer Stratton, Senate District 5, Ramsey Older, Senate District 17, and Earl Batterson, Senate District 27. If anybody appreciates the rules of the Republican Party of Texas, it is I. having served as your convention parliamentarian the last 3 conventions. The entire process has several parts. Part 1 is the committee function, which is what's taken place. Part 2, under Rule 24, allows 20% of the members of any committee, could be platform, could be rules, credentials, to submit a minority committee report. Part 3, under Rule 43, I believe, provides that if any candidate has received at least the affirmative vote of 3 Senate districts, they may be nominated from the floor. So the reason these rules are in place, long before I became the convention parliamentarian, was to provide the delegates checks and balances. Now, while we have 31 Senate districts, I find it interesting on page 28 of your convention program. If you will look at the 31 Senate delegations, you'll see the smallest has 79 delegates, and the largest has 439. The importance of that is, if you win a small delegation, that counts at the State Nominations Committee in regards to who may receive the majority vote. It does not necessarily reflect the raw vote or the weighted average vote of the entire convention. So the reason the rule is in place is to provide a check and balance and allow the delegates to discern the procedure they would like to follow. If it's the will of the Assembly to accept the report of the Nominations Committee, that's the will of the Assembly. But they could just as easily exercise 2 of the other options that is provided in our rules. That concludes the report of the Minority Committee.
Delegates, the question before us now is on replacing the majority report, which recommends James Dickey for State Party Chair and Alma Perez Jackson for Vice Chair, with the minority report, which recommends Cindy Ash for State Party Chair and Fred Rangel for State Party Vice Chair. I'll recognize you in a moment. As a reminder, this is not for the vote of the election of State Party Chair and Vice Chair. This is only for who will be nominated by this report. Yes, ma'am.
Teresa Kosmowski, SD 17. I move a roll call vote on Mr. Hayes' motion.
Okay, there is a roll call moved. Is there a second?
It was seconded.
This convention will come to order so that we may proceed with our business. Was there a second? I hear a motion and a second for the question on the floor to be a roll call vote. All those in favor of the motion to proceed with a roll call vote, please say aye. All opposed, nay. It is the chair's prerogative to order a roll call vote. Should there be any question, I believe as the current chair that it is important to get this right. I would ask that we proceed. We have a lot of business to do here today. I ask that we proceed with the roll call vote on the motion. Okay. Again, this is not a vote on the actual election of the chair and vice chair. This is on the acceptance of the committee report or the minority report. I recognize the light for an interrupting motion.
Madam Vice Chair, Craig Liccardi from Senate District 1. Madam Vice Chair, Dr. Armstrong gave us the 22-9. That's a 71 to 29% Senate district in favor of James Dickey. Can you please confirm for this body here what the weighted vote totals are?
I do not have that information. I was not provided with that information, Mr. Liccardi, nor am I advised to do that in this motion to call for a roll call vote.
Is that something that could be provided to the body prior to a roll call vote?
Okay.
I think it'd be. Go ahead.
Understood, Mr. Liccardi, absolutely. It can be provided to the body, but it does not affect this call for a roll call vote on the committee report or minority report.
Understood, thank you.
Yes, sir. I recognize this mic for an interrupting motion.
Mark McKegg, Senate District 7. I move to overrule the decision of the chair to hold a roll call vote.
Okay, that is in order.
Chris McDonald, SD6, second.
Make. Okay, cool. We're just getting it right. Hang on. Okay, and that is not overturnable? Yeah, please. Okay, I'm gonna ask a couple things. All right? The first one is that you wait for me to call you so that we can point to the appropriate microphone, and that you speak slowly with your name and your Senate district number so we can get that for the minutes. So whoever the last person was that spoke, we did not get your name or your Senate district number. The second thing, Party Rule 7B6 does not, that there is not two interpretations of that. The chairman at this point on this report can call for a roll call vote. If I was 100% certain of the desire of this body, I have no desire to spend our time to do this. My only desire today is to get this correct, and that is why I'm here before you today. At this point, yes, sir. Okay. Therefore, though appreciated, your appeal is out of order. So, at this time, delegation chairs will poll their delegation on the question of replacing the committee report, which recommends James Dickey for State Party Chair and Alma Perez Jackson for State Party Vice Chair, with the minority report, which recommends Cindy Ash for State Chair and Fred Rangel for State Party Vice Chair. They will return the results to the Convention Secretary. To be clear, a vote aye is to adopt the minority report. A vote nay is to adopt the committee report. Okay. Okay, so am I done here for a moment, or is the vote open, or how do you? Do what? Okay. The convention will stand at ease. Wait, there's a Chris, do I take the interrupting motion since we're in the middle of the vote? Okay. Yes, sir, I recognize the microphone for an interrupting motion.
Madam Chairman, Terry Holcomb, SD3, is this a debatable motion?
I am advised from the parliamentarian that under the rules, that the chairman is able to call for a roll call vote on the minority report, and that was Rule 7B6.
Okay, so if you don't mind, could you please repeat exactly what we're voting on?
Absolutely.
And what we're not voting on?
Okay. To be clear, this vote is not the actual vote for the election of the chairman and the vice chairman. Because after this vote, we will proceed to ask for additional nominations, should there be any, and hold the actual election. All right? This vote is to replace the committee report delivered by Dr. Armstrong with the minority report delivered at this microphone. The ayes are a vote to adopt the minority report. The nays are a vote to adopt the committee report. I believe it was this one and this one. Is this one next? I recognize this microphone for an interrupting motion. Okay, it is closed. I recognize this microphone for an interrupting motion.
I'm not up. There we go. All right, my name is Timothy Smith, Senate District 22, and since there tends to be a lot of hurt feelings and we're going to follow the rules, the rule on challenging the chair is not addressed in state rules or party rules, and the gentleman's motion previously to challenge your motion has to be dealt with as it is a privileged motion under Robert's rules, and to sustain the challenge, he will need to maintain 67% of the delegation. So in the interest of following the rules, we have to move on the challenge to the chair before we can move on to the underlying motion.
And there's, Mr. Smith, before you go away,
Yes.
would you repeat your SD, please, sir, for the...
We have to move.
No, sir, your SD. She's trying to get your name.
Oh, SD 22.
Okay. Mr. Smith, oh, your first name, I'm sorry.
Is Timothy Smith.
Okay, to address your point, Mr. Smith, I am acting under advisement of the party parliamentarian. Let me consult with him. Again.
And Robert's rules is where he'll find it since he wasn't familiar with it.
I have asked the parliamentarian to please bring to you his advisement.
Thank you, Madam Chairman. Thank you, Convention, for indulging me. If you will turn to page 342 in Robert's Rules, newly revised, line 22. As further examples, it is dilatory to obstruct business by appealing from a ruling of the chair on a question about which there cannot possibly be two reasonable opinions. Thank you. He's saying Mr. McKegg's appeal is debatable. RPT Rule number 7, B6 reads, "A roll call vote shall be taken when ordered by a convention chairman. There cannot possibly be two opinions on that matter."
I'm going to ask, as the chair standing here, I don't ask for anyone to cheer for my opinion. There is no opinion about it. It is the ruling based on the rules. So let's be respectful to everyone and of everyone's time. I believe I saw this interrupting motion first, and then this interrupting motion.
Madam Chairman, Kurt Peterson's caucus leader for District 12. Point of order. Before we take this vote, we need to clear all of the alternates and guests, non-voting alternates and guests from the delegate section before we conduct
Yes, sir.
the vote.
Well stated, Mr. Peterson. I'm trying to get through these interrupting motions so that I can have our secretary give us instructions on how to conduct the vote. But I need to address these motions first. I recognize this microphone for an interrupting motion, and then yours.
Me?
Yes, sir.
Madam Chairman, Mark Ramsey, SD7. Could we have order in the hall? Very quiet, everybody, and calmly explain exactly what we are voting on.
Absolutely.
There's confusion in the back where we can't hear very well as to what the consequence of an A or a nay vote are.
Yes, sir. All right. This vote that we're dealing with now, this motion, the question on the table is if you are in favor of replacing the committee report by Dr. Armstrong, which recommends James Dickey for state party chair and Alma Jackson for party vice chair, replacing it with the minority report, recommending Cindy Ash for state chair and Fred Rangel for vice chair. It is simply to replace the report. After this vote, we would then proceed to ask for additional nominations from the floor, and if necessary, hold the actual elections. This is not the vote for party chair and party vice chair. It is a procedural vote on which report we would be accepting, the committee report or the minority report. That is what the question before us reflects. And I recognize an interrupting motion at this microphone.
Yes, this is Mark Young. I'm from SD 18, Austin County. The question I ask, and I'm loath to have to ask, is are we following Rule 7A, which requires weighted voting?
Weighted voting on this? Yes, sir. I recognize a interrupting motion on this microphone.
Madam Chairwoman Terry Holcomb, SD3. This is open for discussion. This motion that you are asking us to take a roll call vote on is open for discussion.
Yes, sir, we just hadn't gotten past the point of talking about the roll call vote. But you're right.
I want to speak for.
Also, Mr. Holcomb, there has not been a red or a yellow light to discuss the motion of the report. Okay, I will recognize the interrupting motion and then the light.
Sylvia Colson, SD 22. With the confusion about what the motions are, it would be really great if we could have that printed up on the screen that this is for and this is against. Thank
Great
you.
point. If you give me just a minute, I would be happy to get that done. Can you pull that off of the... That is exactly the kind of clarification that will help us. Thank you. The yay is to accept the minority report. go ahead and start on the debate? The yay vote, that's what my notes say. That's correct. Okay, if we will come back to order, please, so that we may hear each other. I recognize the delegate at this microphone for a four.
Hello, this is Toni Anne Dashiell, SD 25, your National Committee woman. And I have a very important announcement, and I want to yield my time right here to Jennifer.
I'm Jennifer Stoner, Republican Party Accounting Director under Ford Chairman.
Ma'am,
and for 8 years, and I
am
hereby
advised
resign my position as accounting
I am
director.
advised that this is out of order. I recognize the
As a
delegate
sign
to
of
come to the mic.
protest.
Is that what you're telling me? I recognize a speaker at this light.
Madam Chairwoman Terry Holcomb, SD3, I am speaking in heavy opposition to this, and I never thought I would say it at a Republican Party state convention in Texas. Don't California my Texas. Are we really talking about here, they said they don't concur with the will of the voter. This sounds like something Hillary Clinton would do when Trump beat her. We heard speech after speech about unity, and here we are doing the most divisive thing possible. We want to burn the party down so she can be queen of the ashes. I encourage you to vote no, and let's join together behind Chairman James Dickey.
Interrupting comes before the motion? Okay, I recognize this microphone for an interrupting motion.
Yes. Amy, this is Jeff Haas with Senate District 7. Point of information. Is it true that if we rule in favor of the minority report, if we went forward with the majority report, can't the people in favor of Cindy Ash just nominate her in the next phase of this? Is this not a waste of time?
After this vote takes place, we will proceed to accept additional nominations and, if necessary, hold those elections. Was that not your question?
Sorry. So my question is, all we're ruling on
Is the acceptance of the report. Yes, sir.
What the recommendation of the committee is, right? So whether it's James Dickey or Cindy, we're going to turn around and nominate the other person as soon as this is all done, right?
Well, the way I would say it is that the floor would be open for nominations.
So why don't we give those people in the minority report the opportunity to nominate their candidate, and if they win that on the floor, they will be able to have the vote.
Okay. I see your light, but there is an interrupting motion at this microphone.
Yes, Cynthia Klein, Senate District 3. I would like to make the motion that once we do vote, if it is a written vote, that we simply write majority or minority, because there's so much confusion over this yay and nay.
Ma'am, I certainly understand the merit of that, but it is out of order. It has to be a yay or a nay vote. I understand. We have the language. We don't have the language. They don't need to see me. Will you put the language back on the screen, the clarifying language that you typed up? Can you put the, there, okay, thank you. I recognize an interrupting motion on that microphone.
Mark McKeag, Senate District 7. I move the previous question.
Okay, I recognize you, sir, for an interrupting motion.
I will be happy to second.
question is not an interrupting motion? Okay, I'm advised that calling the question is not an interrupting motion. I had this light next. There's two lights. The interrupting motion comes first on this microphone.
Carl Dietrich, SD 10. I rise to a point of inquiry. The earlier motion was for a roll call vote. Are the SDs taking secret ballots and the SD just reporting its total yay and nay? Or does the roll call require each delegate's name in the yay or nay column?
Okay, I assure you I will have Mr. Secretary come up here and explain the vote detailed to you, at what point we dispense with the discussion, but we're still in the discussion phase. We will provide detailed instructions on how to conduct the vote. We will make sure everybody is clear before we proceed. I recognize an interrupting motion at this microphone.
Dan Pickens, SD 16. I have a quick question for the chair.
Do you hear me? One moment, sir. Will you please keep that language up? They don't. I want them to see what we're voting on. Yes, sir. Yes, sir.
Yes, my point of information is, in your opinion, do you believe we could have already had the roll call vote with as much discussion as we've had in the last 30 minutes?
The chair will not deliver an opinion on that. All right. I recognize this microphone to speak in favor of the motion. I recognize that microphone to speak in favor of the motion. I had already recognized him, and then I will recognize you. Yes, sir. Her. I'm sorry. Cannot see. You're on.
I'm not on.
You're not
I'm
on.
not on or not on? Not on or yeah, I'm on. Oh, there I am. Hey, convention.
I can't even see who's speaking. Is this over
Okay.
here? No. Okay, just a second, guys. I promise. This light had been on. Is that light off now? There is no more speak.
Karen, you're up.
All right, y'all. Keep your fingers off the switches. Before this interrupting motion had come on, this light had been on to speak in favor, and it keeps blinking at me. So I don't know if there's a speaker in favor at this microphone. But we are waiting.
No, interrupting motion. Interrupting motion.
Okay, I am going to go to this interrupting motion.
Oh, I'm up again? Okay. I have an interrupting motion. This is Robert Coyle, Senate District Number 3. I ask that we end debate and call the question, please.
Okay, sir, but that is not an interrupting motion. That's a regular motion. I'm learning as I go. All right. I recognize this microphone to make a motion.
Mark McKeag, Senate District 7. Let's try this again as a non-interrupting motion to move the previous question.
I have a motion on the floor to move the question. Is there a second? That's non-debatable. All right, that's non-debatable, as much as you'd like to. All those in favor of calling the previous question, please say aye. All opposed, nay. Okay. The ayes have it. Would you put the language back up, please? We will now proceed to a vote. Before we do so, I would like to recognize our convention secretary, Mr. Wiggins, who will explain detailed instructions on how to conduct the vote. Thank you.
This vote will be conducted just like you did it in your senatorial district caucus. The caucus chair will
ask each county chair in multi-county senatorial districts to report to them the total of the votes on each side for each county, and the county chair will combine it. You must report your voting strength as opposed to the raw vote. When you've finished, write it down on a piece of paper and bring it forward and hand it to one of the sergeant-at-arms here who will deliver it to the secretary.
Okay, the language is coming back up on the screen. This is not what you're voting on. This is trying to clarify for you. The question before you is on replacing the committee report. It should say the committee report, which is the majority, that nominates James Dickey for chair and Alma Jackson for vice chair, with the minority report that nominates Cindy Ash for chair and Fred Rangel for chair. Yea adopts the minority report, nay adopts the committee report. This is not the vote actually to elect the chair or the vice chair. There is an interrupting motion.
I have a point of order. Oliver Cosby, Senate District 9. I'm reading Rule 7. You called for a vote. You did not rule on that vote. You instead went to one of the other subtopics. So are we, if we lose this one, have a fifth of the people write something and then they can have another roll call vote? Because where does it stop? That is my point of order. You're out of order in ruling.
Sir, under advisement of my parliamentarian, the chair has the absolute right to call for a roll call vote on a minority report. That's Rule 7(6)(b).
Vote for a vote. You did not rule on that vote. And you're now going to one of the other clauses. So now somebody can do 5, if they lose, get 1/5 of the body to write up something and say, let's do a roll call vote. So how many of these provisions can we run? All of them?
Okay.
I believe you're out of order.
Okay, and thank you for that opinion. Yes, sir, they had called, let me try to clarify that, because look, I want everybody to know what's going on here. I want this to be a positive process for everybody. They had called for a roll call vote, all right? They had called for a roll call vote, and it was seconded, and it did go before them. But ultimately, the chair has the right, under Rule 7(6)(b), to declare a roll call vote on a minority report. If it had been clear to me, standing up here, the answer to that question, I would not put the delegation through this exercise. I have no intent to spend any more of your time doing something unnecessary, but I know every one of you is here to get this right, and in the eyes of the chairman, if there is any lack of clarification, I don't just go to my parliamentarian, I go to you. So me asking you for a roll call vote is me making sure that I'm doing what you want. It may take a little more of your time, but it is not me subverting your will. It is me asking you to tell me specifically. So, all right, there is an interrupting motion. I recognize this microphone for an interrupting motion.
Madam Chairman, Cindy Ash, SD 8, point of parliamentary inquiry. If we withdraw the request, the motion for a request for a roll call vote, will we be able to have nominations made from the floor so that both candidates can be nominated and we can proceed to an additional 5-minute speech and then get on with the vote?
Miss Ash, may I ask a question?
Yes, ma'am.
Could the same thing be accomplished by the minority report being withdrawn? And then we would go straight to the, and if it's not, then please let me know. I want to get this right. But that would accomplish then it opening up to nominations from the floor. Am I getting at the heart of your motion? If I am not, then please let me know.
Actually, Madam Chairman, this is a question of parliamentary inquiry.
Okay, yes, ma'am.
And so I defer to your parliamentarian
Okay.
to see if that is possible.
To, Okay, Ms. Ash, I think I have a better answer to your question. A minority report has been presented, and it must be dealt with. So withdrawing the call for a roll call vote would then send it back to the vocal vote. However, we still have to dispense with the minority report one way or the other. A withdrawing of the minority report would let the people vote then on the committee report, at which point that would allow nominations from the floor and an election to proceed. I just need to be clear on what the minority committee chooses to do. Did I say that the right way? Delegation, your patience in this, it would be appreciated. Please come to order. I would clear, after the vote on the report, we would then proceed to ask for additional nominations and then hold the actual elections for chair and vice chair. But right now, I have a minority report that must be dispensed with. So if you can, we can withdraw the, yes, I recognize you for a motion. Or there was an, do I need to do that? Okay. Yes.
Madam Chairman, Eric Opiella, Senate District 21. We've devolved into this morass regarding the rules. As a member of the committee who voted for the minority report to reflect that my district voted for Cindy Ash with over 60% of the vote, I moved to remove my name from the minority report to allow us to proceed with the vote on chair for the Republican Party of Texas.
Is that in order? Thank you, Mr. Opiella. Does removing your name bring it below that threshold of 20%?
It does, Madam Chairman.
Thus negating the okay. So the minority report is now out of order. Okay, all right. Okay. Okay. I need the convention to please come to order. And maybe have a seat, if you're not at a mic. All right, the minority report was ruled out of order, so what we have before us is the report of the nominations committee. Just a moment. Where's the other script, please? Yeah, I like the script. This is the wrong one. Just a moment. Okay. The name of James Dickey has been placed into nomination for state party chair. Are there any other nominations? The light, yes, sir. A blue light, yes, sir.
Madam Chairman, Bill Crocker, SD 14. I nominate Cindy Ash.
Okay, where's the one that guys make the election? I think that we can conduct this process with respect for everybody involved, and I would ask that the delegation please exercise that respect. All right. The name of Cindy Ash has been placed into nomination for State Party Chairman. Do I read this, or do I ask for other nominations this time? No. Do I start here? Yes. Under our convention rules, nominees for this office had to file the notice of candidacy by 8:30 yesterday morning. Therefore, no other candidates are eligible to be placed into nomination, and nominations are closed. We can put this one away. All right. Do I accept that motion? I recognize that microphone for a motion.
I don't have a motion. No, I want to speak for the nomination.
We're not quite there yet. Okay, I understand that we want to speak for and against, but we have to get there.
That's right.
Okay. Without objection, the campaigns have agreed that each candidate would be recognized for 5 minutes. I would ask the candidates to please come forward and we will draw for speaking order. Okay. Floor, let's please come to order so that we could hear the speeches of our candidates. As I said before, without objection, the campaigns have agreed that each candidate would be recognized for 5 minutes. We drew for speaking order. Candidate James Dickey will speak first, and candidate Cindy Ash will speak second. I recognize an interrupting motion at this microphone.
Daniel Caldwell, Senate District 13. You said without objection, each candidate will be allowed to speak. Each candidate has already had days to campaign here and introduce themselves. I object.
Okay. Okay. Mr. Caldwell, I understand what you're saying. At this point, we have already asked the candidates to come up. I said this sentence about 10 minutes ago, and not to be disrespectful, but before I asked them to come up and to draw order for a ballot, I made that exact same sentence that they could speak without objection. So at this point, I'm going to say that your objection is not timely. because I had already said that they would get that opportunity without objection. At that point, nobody objected. We had them come up here to draw. So this is where I feel that we are. Okay, seeing no other interrupting motions, as I said, James Dickey will speak first, Cindy Ash will speak second. The timer is on the screen.
It is. Sorry, they've got me. They got me behind the podium here, so I can't walk out and talk to you. But this is a beautiful day, and it was beautiful what you did this morning. Over 2/3 of the caucuses voted for us to continue strong leadership. Thank you. Thank you so much. You know, this has been a challenging year. It was challenging to be the third chairman of the Republican Party in 2 years. It was challenging to start off committing to stand up strongly for what we believe in, and having donors and elected officials and everybody else not know what we really meant by that, and not know whether that was going to be a positive thing, and to turn it around and have it result in growth and benefit, and this amazing unity that you see up here has been so humbling. And I am so grateful to every one of you who has seen this with your own eyes and felt it with your own heart. We have lived out leadership over the last year, taking strong stands, doing the hard work that needs to be done. And I will tell you, there were significant obstacles to that. When I ran a year ago, I kept getting badgered with, will you keep everybody from the old administration that had failed? Would you keep everybody? Would you keep all of those things? And of course, my response was, I have no intention of changing things up. Time will tell, and what the party needs is the most important thing. And it has been tough to try to unify the group while there has been a core faction of folks from prior leadership that were disappointed that they were out, and disappointed that they didn't win the election, and trying to do everything they could possibly do to overturn the bodies who had voted. And I thank you guys for looking past that, looking over that, looking through that. You can look around and you can judge by your own eyes how things are going. It is so important that we move forward together. We have President Trump, we have the House, we have the Senate, we have the Texas House, we have the Texas Senate, we have city councils and school boards and county commissioners and county judges. We are going to expand our victories here, and we can do that if we unite to win. And we have offered that olive branch, and we are consistently offering. You can decide by your own eyes which campaign, which candidate has shown an interest in and a commitment to growing this party by being welcoming and open versus tearing it apart. And I ask you, vote for winning. Let's beat the Democrats in November. Let's support President Trump. And let's continue to have new donors, new supporters, new voters feel welcome and encouraged and loved, so that together we grow our majority. God bless you.
We now call candidate Cindy Ash for her 5 minutes.
Let me first apologize for the confusion before. I really just wanted to have an opportunity to tell you thank you. Thank you for being here. I know you're tired, and I know many of you are not happy with me for being here right now. But I hope you will allow me the opportunity to be heard one last time. Thank you for those who helped get us here and for all of your hard work. Traveling this state and getting to know each of you has been one of the biggest honors of my life. I am inspired by your stories, your passion, and your commitment to this great state and this great party. This is a room filled with servant leaders, people who have served in the military, the medical field, teachers, and as patriots in the trenches fighting for this party and the Texas we love so dearly. I have never been more proud to be a grassroots Republican who is and always has been fighting with you. I want to make this clear, very important. This race is not about me. I am not running because I want to hold office. I am running because I am deeply concerned about the future of this party, which will ultimately impact the future of this state. You deserve to know the truth. You deserve to have leadership that is above reproach, because the only way we can advocate for our party's principles and our elected officials and candidates is to be known as people of our word. I've been accused of running a negative race and spreading mistruths. But every piece of information we've put out has been backed up overwhelmingly by evidence and support. In fact, if you missed it just a moment ago, our current accounting director, Jennifer Stoner, submitted her resignation minutes ago. Jennifer has been with the party for 8 years. She was hired by Kathy Adams and proudly served under Steve Munisteri. She is known by every one of those state chairmen as a professional with unquestioned personal and professional integrity. According to Jennifer, she has resigned because in her entire time as accounting director, she has never seen the level of dishonesty, manipulation, and erroneous reporting that she has seen that she has seen from this chairman, and her direct quote was, he is not trustworthy. Please hear me out. The information that was disseminated via both RPT email and also on James's printed campaign literature was not produced, approved, or verified by the accounting department or with Jennifer's consent. Unlike any previous chairman, Mr. Dickey has required that she send data in Excel spreadsheet format instead of a PDF, where the data can easily be moved and manipulated and the numbers simply don't match up. The way the numbers are communicated by the current chairman are in contrast to the processes that have been used and approved for almost 10 years. And this past Wednesday, when directly asked by an SREC member at the SREC meeting if Jennifer had approved the numbers being disseminated, he lied. She asked him publicly to retract the email and his statement multiple times, but as you know, he has not. She has offered her resignation today, but has promised me that she will return if Mr. Dickey is not elected. My time has expired because I could not complete it. I am asking you to vote, and I am praying that God will give you the wisdom to make the right decision. Thank you.
The convention will now come to order. The question now before you is on the election of state party chairman. The nominations are James Dickey and Cindy Ash. Are you ready for the question? Okay. Would you like to come speak again to how to vote? Or I'm going to ask the convention secretary to rise again. Oh, wait. We need to do discussion first. Yes. For and against. Yes, they get.
This will be by secret ballot, conducted the same way you conducted the ballots and voting in your senatorial district caucus. The caucus chairs should have additional ballots, and they will hand them out to the county chairs. You will report to us in your voting strength, not raw vote.
Delegation chairs, I ask that we ensure the proper seating of our delegates as we conduct this vote.
For each of us, if you can make an announcement to your Senate district.
They replace me.
That's up to you. Okay. So 2 from Travis 14, 1 from Montgomery 3, and you're Montgomery 3? Montgomery.
Can I not announce that?
You get a page. Sergeant at Arms.
May I please have a sergeant at arms and a page? Make the list.
Are you good up here just hanging out?
Yeah, I'm just gonna hang out.
Okay.
Wait, I gotta recognize this. You don't get to leave. Yes, I recognize this microphone for an interrupting motion.
Thank you, Madam Vice Chair. Craig Liccardi, Senate District 1. I understand that this will be a weighted vote. Is that correct?
Yes, it is.
Okay, when we take the vote, we put our yay or nay, or we put the name on the piece of paper. It took an entire computer program to figure out all the weightings. How is that going to be managed with a manual paper process?
please stand at ease when I get you that answer, Mr. Liccardi. In answer to your question, Mr. Liccardi, I've been advised in the caucus chair training that the folks running the caucuses have been given that instructions on how to do that weighted vote.
Thank you, Madam Vice Chair.
Yes, sir. I recognize this microphone for an interrupting motion.
Parliamentary inquiry. This is Weston Martinez, SD 25. Madam Chairman, if you would please instruct the delegation to ensure they're using different color paper ballots. Some were passed out in some districts, and we want to ensure there are no spoiled ballots. Thank you.
Different color from what? Point well taken, Mr. Martinez. Yes, sir. I recognize this microphone for an interrupting motion.
This is an inquiry. This is Adolfo Tejas with SD 29. Will we be allowed, or anyone allowed, to speak on behalf of either candidate?
No, sir. That is a good question, but in this instance, with the nominations from the floor, the candidates' speeches are considered the time to speak for each candidate. So. Wait. Oh, it's out.
Ask it that
Run.
way.
Yep. Run. Oh, it's back. I recognize this microphone for an interrupting motion.
Pam Arand, Senate District 2. I would like to request that the House be cleared of all guests and non-voting individuals.
Point well taken, Mrs. Arand. Thank you. And caucus leaders, again, I ask you to please ensure the seating of your delegation correctly as we take this vote. Nothing could be more important. Under that advisement, please send the guests and the alternates to their proper seating. Only the delegate seating should be at this time. As much as is possible, I ask for reasonable order on the floor. Okay, you're good. You're good. That's all right. Leave me. That's all right. I'm good. And she stands alone. I did lose my water. So. Yeah, would you bring the water? Y'all just waited till my parliamentarian walked off, didn't you? Yes, sir. I recognize this microphone for an interrupting motion.
Max Smith, Senatorial District 18. We took this identical vote in our caucuses this morning at the Senatorial District. Can we not use the weighted votes from this morning?
I understand your confusion on that, sir, certainly, but the rules provide for this to occur, a nomination made from the floor, at which time the votes are taken from the delegate seating on the floor. So we cannot use what happened this morning. That advised, that committee report that you heard, at this time, there were nominations from the floor. This is a different vote. I'm sorry, you were who I recognized, so I can't see who's actually speaking. Yes, sir, I recognize you.
Brian Crumby, SD4. Question of privilege. Can we get house lights on so we can see and not trip on the floor?
Absolutely. Thank you. Sir, they are turning on all the house lights that they can at this time. No, it's fine. As a matter of interest, apparently the lighting is a federal versus state control issue. The convention center does not give us control of all the lighting, so we have on what we can turn on. I recognize this microphone for an interrupting motion.
Madam Vice Chair, Brandon Moore, SD 10, point of personal privilege. As we're waiting for vote totals to be announced, I would like to take a moment to thank the pages and everyone distributing ballots and making sure this happens. And also, ma'am, I've been doing this for 20 years now. I have never seen someone in the chair position handle such difficult situations with such grace and style.
I believe that's out of order, Mr. Moore. I recognize this microphone for an interrupting motion. Is there an interrupting motion at the microphone?
To what end?
Madam Chair, while we are, Adam Khan, SD 21, while we are waiting, I would like to address a matter of personal privilege. I would just like to say congratulations to the 2018 Texas Longhorn baseball team on making the College World Series. Hook 'em hard!
Mr. Khan, I ask you to please not start an unnecessary floor fight. I recognize this microphone for an interrupting motion.
Madam Chairman, the sergeants at arms would request official instruction
Yes,
on
sir.
barring the doors.
Okay, I have not ordered for the doors to be barred. Yes, I have, however, asked the caucus chairman to make sure there's no seating of additional delegates as per our rules for voting. Is there an interrupting motion at this microphone? Yes, ma'am. Okay. Yes, ma'am.
Madam Chair, my name is Monique Worthy for SD 30, and I just want to second what the gentleman said earlier.
Yes, ma'am.
You sure you want to leave us?
I don't know, y'all were all yelling at me a minute ago. Thank you. I recognize this microphone for an interrupting motion.
Madam Chairman,
Yes, sir.
Jack Pratt, Senatorial District 24. It's been reported to me that some of the pages are passing out different colored ballots to people rather than the county chairs.
Okay, the caucus delegation leader needs to be the one advising the passing out of any ballots. As per their training, as per my instruction, pages only pass out ballots under the advisement of the caucus delegation leader. I recognize this microphone for an interrupting motion.
Madam Chairwoman, Terry Holcomb, SD3. Is the chair advised if y'all are going to be validating the weighting from the SDs?
The chair does not have advisement at this time, but I will certainly answer your question when I do.
Thank you.
Yes, sir. Is a motion in order in the middle of voting? Is a motion in order in the middle of voting? Just a moment, I have an interrupting motion. I recognize this microphone.
Madam Chairman, Kurt Peterson, Caucus Chair for Senate District 12.
Yes, sir.
How are we to report our results?
One moment, and I will have the convention secretary do that. I'm waiting. Okay. I was waiting for the parliamentarian to return. Please send him back this way if found. And so I may answer this question under advisement, and then we will give that direction absolutely. Yes, sir. Just a moment on your motion. Can I accept a motion in the middle of voting? This is a motion. That's a motion. I see the blue light for a motion, but if you will just give me just a moment, please. Not if I'm embarrassed in public, you might come back. They don't read it out? I don't know. You pick. I'm making this. Okay. But I need Chris because I don't know if I can recognize a motion in the middle of the vote. I think this is the business. Yeah. Okay. Chris, I'm so hungry. He went to vote, but he's not coming back. Yeah. I do recognize the light for a motion, but I need advisement quickly. One moment. paging the parliamentarian. I do see your interrupting motion, but this light has been on for a long time and I have not been able to recognize it. So I would like to ask, okay, I'm gonna need you guys to come back to order, please. I need to ask this microphone, I recognize you. This microphone has had a motion light on for a long time.
Okay. This is Mark Bofferding from SD5. I move that we amend the agenda to move the Permanent Legislative Priorities Committee report, which is currently last on this convention's agenda, to immediately follow the Permanent Rules Committee report.
Mr. Bofferding, I understand your motion, but it is not in order at this time as we're conducting this vote. Now I have an interrupting motion at this light.
Madam Chair, David Covey, SD3. Is it correct that the caucus chairs are reporting the weighted vote, or are they reporting this?
The weighted vote, yes, sir.
Thank you.
Now, there had been a question over here about, should I ask him to repeat his question? Mr. Liccardi, would you come repeat your question from earlier, please, about the weighted voting? There had been a point of order at this microphone. And Mr. Holcomb, I'll ask you to do the same over here. To repeat your question from earlier about the weighted voting.
Thank you, Madam Chairman.
Yes, sir.
Chairwoman Terry Holcomb, SD3. Will the chair be validating the weighted SD numbers? My original question.
The secretary will be taking reports from each delegation. If a member of that delegation feels that that number is incorrect, we may poll that delegation. Okay. Would you, how do we now close the vote? They come up here and, I don't know. Okay, have all ballots been collected? Not tabulated, but collected. Have all ballots been collected? Not yet tabulated, but collected. I see an interrupting motion.
Request for information. Can
Yes,
you
sir.
please explain how we're supposed to answer that?
I'm just making sure there's no ballots outstanding. I understand if you're still doing the math on them. I'm trying to figure out where we are in the process,
How
that's
do
all.
we answer that question to you from out here?
Holler? No, I'm trying to move along the process. It was my way of saying the ballots should all be collected at this point. I could phrase it like that. But is any delegation ready to report their tabulation? Okay, so have them come to the front? If so, please have your caucus delegation leader come to the front with that. Mr. Holcomb, your point was well taken. I should have stated that a better way. I recognize an interrupting motion on this microphone.
Madam Chairman, J.T. Edwards, STL 11. Point of inquiry with regards to the tabulation of the ballots. Will each of the delegation chairmen from each Senate district be required, as we've done as custom, to come to the microphone and report the results to the chair? Like we've done in the CD caucuses?
I had asked the delegation leaders to come and bring it to the front for Mr. Wiggins to assemble in his report.
Thank you, Madam Chairman.
Sure. I recognize an interrupting motion on this microphone.
Madam Chairman, Mike McCloskey, Senate District 5. It's always been the tradition of the convention that we do a roll call in order of Senate District with the report of the vote tabulations versus bringing it to the chair.
Okay.
I would recommend highly that we do it that way.
Okay. We can do it that way. Mr. McCloskey, we do have about half of them submitted. I would welcome the caucus chairmen to come back to collect the report if they would like to read it from the microphone, or the secretary could read it from his reports up front. Yes, sir, Mr. McCloskey. Yes, sir?
Madam Chairman, it's always been the tradition that way, and I think folks would like to hear Senate District by Senate District that report. I would recommend that.
Oh, absolutely. It was my intention the secretary would do the Senate by Senate district, but I am happy if it's the will of the body to let the Senate caucus leaders line up and do that. So,
Thank you, Madam Chairman.
ma'am? tell you what, if you have already submitted your report and you would like to read it at the microphone, you are welcome to come back and collect it. Elsewhile, the secretary will read the report Senate district by Senate district. But I see interrupting motions at every mic.
Yeah.
This
Madam
mic.
Chairman.
This one. Yes,
Alan
sir?
Guggenheim,
Yes, sir.
SD20. I strongly agree that every district should come and announce the number.
Yes, sir.
I would also request, if possible, that they give both the raw vote number and the weighted so that we can make sure we catch any mistakes and it's very clear for everybody and transparent. Thank you.
I will leave that to the caucus district chairman to deliver their report to us as they wish to do. Some have only given the weighted total, but again, if you do not have your report and you need to come get it, please do so at this time so that we can proceed. I recognize this microphone for an interrupting motion.
Madam Chair, Deidre Voigt, SD 18, Gonzales, Texas, home of the Come and Take It. Point of information, please.
Yes, ma'am.
Could we have this supernova light turned off until it's needed?
Please advise me.
Supernova television light that only comes on when this microphone is being recognized.
Okay.
And it's on all the time, and it's very painful to the eyes.
Yes, ma'am.
Thank you, Madam Chair.
Yes, ma'am. And as they go off as soon as I recognize it, and I am trying to do that as quick as I can, I will see if they can turn them down. I would recognize this mic for an interrupting motion.
Madam Chairman, this is SD2. Are you actually ready for us to read our numbers? Because I'm ready to go.
I understand. Yes, sir. I am trying to make sure that everybody... I'm trying to make sure that everybody has the report back if they sought to get it back. But yes, sir, we will.
I left my report up there because I still have it on my computer. I don't need to walk up there and get it, but I'm ready,
All right.
like I said, when you are.
I understand. Yes, sir. This gentleman is collecting a report for a caucus that asked for it back, so. Light's not on. Okay. They're not coming yet because now I said to do it out there. So let's start. Okay. Mr. Wiggins, would you take the mic? Mr. Wiggins, would you take the mic and advise how you want it read, please? You're ready? Yes. So these people have to come back and get this. They may already have it on their computer. So just let them tell you if they're not ready. All right, we are just about to call the roll to get the report, but I see two more interrupting motions. I recognize this microphone.
Madam Chairman, it's not an interrupting motion. It's a point of information. What light should come on for the Senate District Caucus chairs to report? I'm a Senate District Caucus chair.
Understood.
Ready to report?
Yes, sir.
SD1.
And I'm getting ready to call it.
Okay.
Yes, sir. But I got to take these lights first. And if y'all will just line up, Mr. Wiggins, our secretary, is going to call the roll of the senatorial districts for the report. But I've got to dispense with these motions first. Yes, sir.
Larry Phillips, SD 23. I have a request that you ask the body to come to order.
Yes, sir.
It's relatively quiet up here in front, but in back you can't hear anything.
Okay. Let's now come to order, please, so that the convention secretary can call the roll of the SD caucuses for their vote. Hang on. Is the mic cut? Is the mic, will you test the mic?
Senate District 1.
I'm over here. Chris Dukes, Senate District Caucus Chairman, Senate District 1. Weighted voting. James Dickey, 328.11. Cindy Ash, 110.64.
Senate District 2, you have reported. Should I read what they reported? You have reported 41 Ash, 263 Dickey.
I'm going to interrupting motion you, Mr. Wiggins. When he calls your senatorial district caucus number, we need you to light the light, please, because that activates the microphones. Otherwise, the voices in the sky don't know which microphone. So if you could please, if it is your turn, speak to the Sergeant at Arms, turn on the mic, and then you may speak.
Okay, Senate District 2, you have reported 41 for Ashe, 263 for Dickey.
That's correct.
Thank you. Senate District 3.
Dwayne Wright, Senate District 3. James Dickey, 344.7. Cindy Ash, 65.02.
Senate District 4. Yes, sir. Or ma'am.
Senate District 4, for Cindy Ash, 70.36. For James Dickey, 349.64.
Senate District 5, you have reported 196 for Ash and 168 for Dickey.
That's correct.
Thank you. Senate District 6.
Senate District 6, James Dickey, 57.76. Cindy Ash, 18.24.
Senate District 7, you have reported 54 for Ash and 328 for Dickey.
Senate District 7, proud and strong. You are accurate.
Thank you. Senate District 8, you have reported 108 for Ashe and 246 for Dickey.
That is correct.
Senate District 9.
Senate District 9, weighted vote, James Dickey, 223.56. Cindy Ash, 52.44.
Will you make sure what's on the screen is what you read? Because I think they're saying there's a discrepancy on the screen. SD7. Oh, it was 54. She just didn't hear it.
Okay.
Yeah, I'll check it.
Okay.
SD7 was.
Okay. Let's see. SD10, you have reported 147, Ashe, 164, Dickey.
That is correct.
Senate District 11.
Senate District 11, we report 118.7 for Ash, 3.8 abstentions, and 221.49 for Dickey.
Abstentions don't count.
Right. We need SD10 to read again the exact number, please.
Okay. SD10.
Yeah. You're rounding and she's not.
Well, 10 we have it. Huh?
They took it back.
Oh, they took it back? Okay. right, SD 10, would you give us your number again? I reported it in rounding. They're requesting it be reported in the decimal.
Where'd she go?
We'll come back to 10. SD 11, will you repeat your numbers? SD 12.
Senate District 12, James Dickey, 301.9. Cindy Ash, 74.1.
Senate District 13, you reported 15, Ash, and 47, Dickey.
Oh, Senate SD 13, 15.4 for Ash, and 46.6 for Dickey.
Okay. Senate District 14.
Senate District 14, former Travis County GOP Chairman James Dickey, 173.1. Cindy Ash, 68. Thank you.
Senate District 15.
Senate District 15 reports 138.40 for James Dickey and 24.60 for Cindy Ash.
Senate District 16.
Senatorial District 16, Randall Dunning. We're reporting from deep in the heart of Dallas County. 59.5 for Cindy Ash, 249.9 for James Dickey, 2.38 abstentions.
Senate District 17.
Senate District 17 reports 193 for Cindy Ash, 158 for James Dickey.
Senate District 18, you reported 140 for Ash, 271 for Dickey.
This is David Stahl, Caucus Chair of Senate District 18. Home of Gonzales, come and take it. Birthplace of Texas. Washington on the Brazos, Bluebell Ice Cream and Shiner Beer. Voting strength of 411, 139.69 for Cindy Ash, and 271.01 for James Dickey.
Would you repeat that?
It is 139.69 for Cindy Ash and 271.01 for James Dickey. And that's Senate District 18. 18, there you go.
Senate District 19, you reported 24 for Ash, 145 for Dickey.
Senate District 19, where's it? Senate District 19, Dickey, 144.67, Ash, 24.33.
Senate District 20, you reported 82 for Ash, 70 for Dickey.
That is not correct. For Ash, we reported 81.65, and for Dickey, 70.30.
Senate District 21, you reported 93 for Ash and 60 for Dickey.
Yes, that is correct.
Senate District 22.
Senate District 22, James Dickey, 237, Cindy Ash, 131.
Senate District 23.
This is Brian Homolesky reporting for Senate District 23. For Cindy Ash, the weighted total was 15.456, and for James Dickey, 63.543.
Which district was that again? I didn't understand.
I'm sorry, Senatorial District 23.
23, okay. Yeah, I would have requested that you repeat the numbers for me. I thought you had mentioned, talked about it, gave me a different district. Could you repeat your count?
Sure. For the weighted total for Cindy Ash, 15.456. For James Dickey, 63.543.
Thank you, sir.
Thank you.
Senate District 24, you reported 131 for Ashe and 246 for Dickey.
It's actually 130.57 for Ashe and 246.43 for Dickey.
Senate District 25 reports 293.61 for Dickey and 197.4 for Ash.
Senate District 26.
Mr. Secretary, SD 26, proud hosts of your convention this year, reports Cindy Ash 50.768, James Dickey 92.184.
Senate District 27, you reported 85 for Ash and 13 for Dickey. Senate District 27. Senate District 28.
Senate District 28 reports 128 for Ash, 132 for Dickey.
Senate District 29.
Senate District 29, home of the Star of Texas. Cindy Ash, 77.57. James Dickey, 20.42.
Senate District 30.
There we go. Dion Starnes, Senate District 30, 183.60 for Cindy Ash, 243.40 for James Dickey.
Senate District 30.
You know what? Hang on. Sorry. They wrote it backwards. It is James Dickey, 183.60. Cindy Ash, 243.40.
Okay, Senate District 31, you reported 183 for Ash, 80 for Dickey.
It is actually 183.08 for Ash and 79.77 for Dickey.
Okay, back to Senate District 10. Could you resubmit your number?
Yes, sir. 164.49 Dickey, 146.51 Ash.
Senate District 11.
The Senate District 11, home of NASA Johnson Space Center and petrochemical capital of the world. We submit 118.700 for Ash, 221.487 for Dickey, and 3.813 in abstentions.
While we're waiting, I wanted to ask the SREC to please go ahead and come, if you would, line up behind the stage for your presentation. Yes, interrupting motion on that microphone.
Really, it's a correction. This is
Yes,
Susan
ma'am.
Patrick,
Okay.
Senate District 5. We were Dickey 168.5 and Ash 196.5.
And that was Senate District 8.
5. Senate District 5.
5, okay, I'm sorry.
Thank you.
Okay. I'm going to have her scroll through it. If you would please take the extra step, caucus chairman, and make sure that that reflects the correct vote. Thank you. I recognize this microphone.
Madam Chairman, Jack Pratt, Senatorial District 24. As I look at the numbers, they don't add up to 0 at the end. Let's just take the first district. If you look at it, you had the last two numbers on both don't equal 0.
Okay. I'm asking for every caucus district chairman to please review this report as it scrolls on the screen and let us know if there are any discrepancies. I'm assuming on Senate District 2 that number was rounded where it perhaps should not have been. Yes, I recognize that microphone.
All right, Senate District 2. Dickey, 263.4427. Ash, 40.5573.
Okay. Point well taken, Senate District 2. Okay, please, caucus district chairman, as you're scrolling through the numbers, make sure that they accurately reflect your delegation count. Yes, I recognize that microphone.
To the gentleman who raised the question about the fact that the last
Yes, sir.
two numbers don't equal 1, we have multiple counties, and the voting strength is calculated by each of those counties. So
Yes,
when
sir.
you add all of those 2 decimal place numbers together and you do the math on each county, you're not necessarily going to come out to a whole number at the end. Those 2 numbers on SD1 come out to 0.75. If we round them up, we're at the exact number of weighted delegate votes for our SD.
Thank you, sir. There were also several abstentions in counties, and of course, those are not counted in a ballot vote, nor reflected. Yes, sir, I recognize this microphone.
Hello, Amanda Adames, SD 21. We have corrections.
Okay, scroll back up. Yes, ma'am.
Cindy Ash should be 103.94. James Dickey, 67.06.
Thank you. I recognize this microphone.
Yes, this is Mark Young. I'm in SD 18, Austin County. Madam Chairman, in our SD 18 meeting this morning, we asked if we could vote an abstention instead of a candidate. We were told no, we were doing electronic voting. The question I ask is, how were others able to cast a abstention when we were not allowed to count one in ours? With the rounding that we did, a no vote was the same as an abstention. No vote or an absent delegate was the same as an abstention. So I'm concerned that there is a irregularity in how the count is being done. Do we count abstentions as same as an absent delegate?
Point very well taken, sir. Would the counties that reported abstentions on their total please come to the front? I believe there were two, Rachel, is that what you remembered? Two counties reported abstentions? Two SDs reported abstentions? I believe there were two. Just to the front to be ready. Just to be ready to speak to the. I'm asking for the Senatorial District Caucus Chairman who reported abstentions to please come up here to the front. Yeah, I was going to have them come here if they had questions, but yeah. Yes, I recognize that microphone. I recognize that microphone. Yes, sir. Is it not working?
Go to the next mic. Is it on?
Okay.
Robert Cantu from SD 25. Point of clarification on SD 21. It appears that there are 171 votes tallied there, but according to the delegate strength, it's supposed to be only 157.
I believe, are you referring to the program?
Is that incorrect, the program?
I believe that I had been told, and correct me if I'm wrong, but what was printed in the program wasn't the final.
Okay, thank you.
Is that right? Yeah, that's not the official strength, and I'm sorry that that's the case, but it is. Yes, sir.
Point of information.
Yes, sir.
Alan Johnson from SD8. Could the chair please give us the sum total for Ash and the sum total from Dickey as shown?
Yes, sir, we will. We have a matter of abstentions to deal with, and that's why I'm asking the Senatorial District Caucus chairs. Are y'all the chairs who reported abstentions? If your SD reported an abstention, I need you to please come to the front. And then, yes, absolutely, we will do that, but that is a matter that needs to be addressed. Yeah, jump down. The parliamentarian is waiting for you. sorry, I recognize this microphone. Yes, sir.
Madam Chairman,
Yes, sir.
Dwayne Wright, SD3 Homo Field Hogs and Pulled Pork. I have a parliamentary inquiry. Would not changing the agenda of the convention require a 2/3 vote threshold?
I can find that out for you.
Okay, thank you.
Is that correct? That is correct, Mr. Wright. But that motion's not in order right now. Do you have them taken care of and they're redoing it? Yeah, there were only two that did. Okay, thanks. I thank you for your patience while those two SDs make that correction and we get this correct. Okay, what are the SDs? Would you recognize Scott Bowen? Here's the correction. Here's one of the corrections right here.
Do you have a correction?
Madam Chairman. All right, Senate District 11 reports 120.054 votes for Cindy Ash and 223.946 votes for James Dickey.
Please repeat that, sir.
All right, 120.054 for Ash, 223.946 for Dickey.
Thank you, sir.
And I understand there was no correction from SD4. If the convention would please come back to order. The question of the election of state party chairman was put before you. The final count was Cindy Ash, 3,009.1313. James Dickey, 5,680.8127. The percentage for Cindy Ash, 34.63. For James Dickey, 65.37. Delegates, your state party chairman,